Another option that we have is the Azure Application Gateway. This is an OSI Layer 7 load balancer that's used to manage client application requests to a web app. Well, with the load balancer that we were looking at before, that's really a Layer 4 load balancer. It's basically just going based off TCP port numbers. It's not actually able to understand application requests. Application layer routing still routes traffic to a backend pool of servers, but it'll be based on the URL of the request. Okay, so it can actually read in and use application layer routing by doing that. And it also uses round robin to send load balance requests to each server in the backend pool. Application gateways provide session persistence, or what's called stickiness. So that makes sure client requests in the same session are routed to the same backend server, and that is important in a lot of applications. It also provides a web application firewall, so that you can control traffic a bit better and be protected against known web application vulnerabilities. End-to-end request encryption, and then auto scaling. Auto scaling gives you the ability to dynamically adjust capacity as the web traffic load changes. So both of these are going to be set up actually pretty similarly. The key difference is the Layer 4 versus Layer 7 and what that means. The routing to the back-end servers on an application gateway can use two different methods, path-based and multiple site routing. But basically what this is client send request to the web app to the IP address or the DNS name of the gateway, and then the gateway routes the request to the correct server using a set of rules. So path-based routing sends requests to different URL paths to different pools of back-end servers. Okay, so we could have images stored on one pool and videos stored on another pool, just as a for instance. Multiple site routing can be used to connect an application to the same, more than one web application to the same application gateway instance. So you can register multiple CNAME records to specify different names for each site. And then in doing this, that's going to give us some different features. So we can use redirection from one site to another. We can rewrite HTTP headers, which would allow the client and server to pass parameter information with their requests and responses. We can also have custom error pages instead of displaying just the default, so you could brand those with your own information and whatnot. So it depends on the particular situation, but those are the two different routing methods. The components for the application gateway: the front-end IP address, public IP that everybody's going to connect to. You can have a private IP as well. You can also have both, but you can't have more than one public and one private on the gateway. The listener is just that component that is listening for traffic on a particular protocol, port, IP address combination. It can be basic or multi-site. So basic listeners only route a request based on the path and the URL, and the multi-site would use the host name. So that goes back to our routing methods. Your routing rule binds a listener, connects a listener to a backend pool, and so then it has settings in it, like for instance the protocol timeouts, the session persistence, the health probe information. That's all going to be in that routing rule. The backend pool is simply a collection of web servers. Now, every one of the web servers is going to have a private IP address. It's also going to be listening on a particular port, like port 80, but it is just a collection of those servers. And then you have the web application firewall, WAF for short. It is an optional component, but that is one that will provide protection against known threats like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, bots, any other type of abnormalities in the HTTP protocol or violations to the protocol. It has just kind of a generic set of rules. And so if you select that tier when you're turning on the gateway, then it's going to be enabled for you. And then we have the health probes, which are used to determine which servers are currently available for load balancing in the backend pool. So the application gateway is consistently sending health probes to the server and expecting a response. All right. And if I don't get a response from the server, I get an invalid response, then I know the application gateway knows to kind of shut down that system. So you can configure your own health probes if you want. If you don't, the default probe just goes every 30 seconds to decide whether or not these servers are available. Okay, so we're not gonna look at the application gateway. We looked at the load balancer and several other things. The application gateway is simply a higher end type of load balancer because it can operate at layer 7 and therefore has additional capabilities.